This show is brought to you in association with HostGator, where web hosting is made easy and affordable. Check out our hosting plans over at hostgator.com. Hello and welcome to Gamers, Geeks and Media Freaks, the show that brings you the latest news and reviews from the worlds of video games, movies, TV shows and technology. Welcome to episode 7. If you missed our E3 coverage yesterday, please go ahead and stop this and go and watch that. If you're not interested, fair enough. We're going to be talking about everything that we've kind of not been able to talk about on the last episode, which is movies and TV show stuff. We're going to be talking about VHS 2 in movies and Arrested Development in TV shows, and maybe touch upon a little bit of Game of Thrones news. Obviously, well, we'll get to that.
We'll leave it to the end.
Yeah. So let's get started with some movie reviews. So in movies, this episode we're going to be talking about VHS 2. It's the sequel to the to last year's kind of cult horror anthology found footage movie, which I was really excited to see. The trailer came out for it and it was kind of come out of nowhere and looked really scary and cool, and I actually sat down to watch it and it was kind of a little bit disappointing. Essentially it kind of only had 2 segments that I felt were actually worthy of kind of being in the movie. The rest of it was kind of fun. It just dragged on. It was too long. VHS 2 has just come out this last week. It's kind of only available in the US on video on demand at the moment, but it comes out in cinemas stateside, I think 12th of July, I think it is. We were able to see it for a little bit of trickery and sort of kind of ducking and diving, you know. No, we had to set up a US account to watch it on a, let's just say, very popular video on demand service. So we were really, I personally was really excited to see it. So you guys probably not as much.
I liked it a lot more than the first one. Yeah. Like I said, because it's a lot more jam-packed than the first one. Yeah. A lot more memorable because there is so much happening in it. So
yeah, I mean, I think that there's so many mistakes made with the first movie. I think nobody knew exactly kind of what everybody else was doing. It just kind of all was, it felt very thrown together. Yeah. And it was like nearly 2 hours long, and it was a lot. I mean, found footage is a lot to sit through anyway, especially when it's on one topic and it's kind of, it drags on. It always feels longer than it really is. Yeah. And with that being 2 hours long, it felt more like 3. This time around, they've cut it down to a nice kind of, it's 90 minutes minus the credits. It has a similar wraparound story that kind of glues everything together fairly well, actually, this time. I think it's way better than the last one, which was like a bunch of guys were asked to break into a house and steal a VHS tape. They find a dead guy, you know, and they just start watching tapes to find the one that they're supposed to steal. In the end, they all end up dying. It wasn't very good. I like the actual overall concept of these films. They're quite sort of original, but they kind of take from things like The Ring and Videodrome kind of thing. Yeah. Which I like. That kind of, those kind of almost, they're not real references, but they're kind of there. This time around, it's about 2 private investigators who have been hired by the mother of a student who's gone missing to try and find out where her son is. They break into the house that he's supposedly living in and come across all these tapes, much like in the kind of first film, and obviously start watching some home videos and crazy shit starts happening. I think we should kind of, the wraparound was better this time around. Yeah. It kind of addressed more kind of what the tapes meant in that kind of, in the VHS universe. Yeah. But I think we should talk about each short film or segment. First of all was Phase 1 clinical trials, where the guy gets the sort of bionic eye implant, which first of all is a really cool concept. Yeah. It works really well, and it's kind of has a sci-fi edge to it that works quite nicely, that I wasn't expecting it to work as well as it did, but when you think about it, it's cool.
You'd heard and you told us that the first segment was supposedly the weakest one.
One of the weakest ones,
and I actually kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, it had a lot of, it relied a lot on jump scares. Basically, the guy's in a car accident, he loses his eye, and this company, I guess, kind of wanting to test out this new technology, he's a candidate for it. They put this eye inside him, but unfortunately he's able to see ghosts.
Yeah, there's a glitch, or there's glitches with it.
And I think that concept alone is really, really cool. I don't think the execution of it was quite as good as it could have been. They did a lot of cool stuff though. It kind of, the ghosts weren't really scary when you look at them. You saw too much of them, and it was just reliant on jump scares.
That's what did it
Some
for me.
big gothic fat guy in a nappy is not.
Yeah, exactly. It was just, it was kind of bad makeup, and unfortunately you saw too much of it. It was creepy. The idea was creepy, and the way it was shot was creepy. It's just they personally weren't as creepy as it could have been. That was really cool though. I kind of liked it overall. That was still better than some of the segments in the first VHS, so already off to a good start. The second one was Ride in the Park, which was directed by Eduardo Sanchez, who did the Blair Witch Project, so that's kind of interesting. Back in the forest again with cameras and stuff, but it's a guy who's taking a ride in the forest, and
he has a camera.
Has a GoPro camera attached to his helmet, and basically just happens to stumble across the zombie apocalypse happening and gets bitten, turns into a zombie and goes on a massive rampage of killing, and
camera captures it all.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't get is if he's a zombie at the end, but somehow he manages to.
Well, we'll talk spoilers at the last few minutes. We should have probably put that.
I'll ignore that.
We will get into spoilers. Obviously, a lot of people haven't seen this because it's not available exactly worldwide yet. So yeah, basically he stumbles across the zombie apocalypse and becomes one of the undead, and it's kind of interesting to see it from the perspective of the zombie. The kind of
gruesome.
They tried to kind of convey a bit of emotion between them and stuff, which it kind of worked, but kind of because they didn't have a lot of time, it kind of all felt very rushed. I quite liked that segment overall. They kind of crashed the girl's birthday party, which is kind of fucked up, but like there's some cool technical stuff. There's a really good stunt in it where he gets run over by the car.
And you see the car going over.
And it was like, shit, that's what it's like to be run over by a car. Fuck, and stabbed in the eye with the freaking
and the reflection in the window was.
And you saw the dude come up behind him with the shotgun. It's all very well shot. So that was the second segment. The third one, which I've been dying to see, is the Gareth Evans Safe Haven short, which isn't that short. It's actually the longest segment of the whole movie, and it's something like roughly sort of 25-30 minutes long.
Fucked up.
I mean, where do you even start talking about it? Basically, it's about a documentary crew who go to this cult. They interview the leader. It's all to do with his cult, and
it's twisted.
It's so insanely twisted, and to say anything about it really is almost too much. We will get into some spoilers once we've finished talking about it.
It's safe to say that what the cult are going for kind of happens while the crew are there. It is probably the most. It's the goriest, the most intense, the craziest, most ambitious segment of the whole movie. I think a lot of people's opinion on it are that it's worth getting hold of the movie or paying to see it just for that segment. And I don't disagree there, actually. I think it pretty much made the film. The rest of it was great, but we'll get into some of the spoilerish stuff in a bit. But the final segment before the conclusion of the wraparound was the Alien Abductions Slumber Party, which is exactly how it sounds, from the director of Hobo with a shotgun. And it was kind of like the beginning. It was quite funny at the beginning, actually, of that one. The first sort of 5 minutes or so was kind of almost a homage to like the 80s kind of kids, like Goonies kind of stuff, and that was kind of cool. That kind of came across, but not fully, It's basically as it sounds, like a bunch of kind of kids messing around with these cameras, kind of playing pranks on their sister and stuff, and just so happens that through the night aliens kind of decide to abduct them, and it's mostly told from the perspective of a dog, because the camera is mounted on a dog at the time shit happens, and quite crazy actually, because I watched Dark Skies recently, and I felt that has very mediocre reviews, but I actually felt that was quite a good movie. And it made aliens scary again. I think like movies like that. We watched a movie a while back called The Fourth Kind. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
That was not a great movie, but it did a really good job of making aliens fucking scary. And this pretty much does that as well. I think even though through certain scenes and shots you can tell they're dudes in suits and stuff, it was, you saw them but not enough to make it, oh, that's a guy in a rubber suit. It was always scary.
They have this kind of relentless feel about them.
Yeah.
They're not just there watching you, they're there after you.
Yeah, it was all the imagery of like that kind of like elongated, kind of exaggerated movements and stuff. It was all very well kind of thrown, like the way they moved and acted and stuff was creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, obviously you don't want to get into too many spoilers, but
I can't say anything with that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's the shortest of all the segments, and it is a little bit hard at times to know kind of exactly what's going on. That one, the way it was shot was kind of a little bit too frenetic, that you kind of lost who was where and what happened to whom, and who was left and who'd, you know. But safe to say, I think at the end they all pretty much get abducted. So, but let's get into the spoiler stuff. So, spoiler alert: if you don't want to have anything about this movie spoiled,
Go away.
just tune out now. Skip forward another 5 minutes. Basically, we'll go. I think the only things worth spoiling are right in the park where he kind of has this, at the beginning, has a phone call from his wife or girlfriend. Yeah, girlfriend.
Amy.
Yeah.
I remember.
And you know, so I love you. There's a little bit of banter, and it was quite. You believed the relationship. It was quite nice.
It was cute and sickening.
Yeah,
The sort of thing that you despise people when you hear them in public.
Yeah, exactly. He gets a phone call at the end from his girlfriend and realizes that, you know, somehow still has some kind of cognitive thing going on where he decides he's going to kill himself rather than be a zombie and then carry on eating people and stuff. So
that's not a new sort of theme.
No,
really, that's been explored in a couple of other movies.
It has actually,
and things like Walking Dead, they explored it, whether it was true or not.
Land of the Dead did that as well, a little bit.
So
that was quite a cool little touch at the end, kind of a nice way to kind of end it.
Shotgun in the mouth.
Yeah, pretty gory. I like the little joke of him trying to eat the guy's wallet and realising it wasn't actually food to him. That was funny as fuck.
So some of the scenes in that of the first person eating and
vomiting stuff was pretty. It was cool though, because it's exactly kind of what you get to see from other people's perspective, and not. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's clever the way they've done it. Safe haven, basically. Holy shit! I mean, the whole the whole ending of that is just the most insane. Everyone kills themselves. There's a massive suicide pact, and essentially, I guess the son of the devil's born or some shit, because this big fucking goat-like motherfucker pretty much rampages through the compound and
chases the guy.
The last survivor, almost gets away, and that's it. And his car gets toppled, and it's so crazy. I mean, the most ambitious, and just you never. I mean, I had an idea of where it was going, but I don't think first people's view on it when they don't know that much about it knew where the hell that was going. But it was the build up, the creepiness.
It has
and then it became really sinister, and then it became really fucked up, and then it became holy shit. You know, it's like the build up.
It's kind of like it builds up, and you have a feeling, okay, this is going to be a big sort of suicide pact thing.
Yeah,
that happens.
But it's not even really that. That's not the thing.
And after that happens, it then ramps up into something completely twisted.
Yeah,
I have to say, although I think it was the most impressive, it had probably the one thing.
Yeah, you saw too much of the thing, especially right at the end, the last shot of it, and it just looked a little bit. It reminded me. I don't know if you haven't seen Drag Me to Hell, the Sam Raimi film. There's a moment in that's very Evil Dead where a goat starts talking, and it looks like it's a puppet. It's like the puppet on the thing on the wall from Evil Dead. It reminded me of that a little bit. It just kind of popped its head out, and it was so close to being comical. I was just like, shit, that
just,
looked a little better.
It was kind of weird with the guy, obviously, because when the goat comes over, because obviously you're looking from the guy's underneath.
It's so weird.
And you just seeing this guy, was he laughing, crying?
Yeah, because it was kind of a really fucking absurd situation to be in. It kind of he just lost everybody that he cared about, and had been chased by this goat friggin' thing, and
which is kind of cool because. He's being chased through. He's being chased through the compound or whatever, and he's going through all this shit that's happening.
Yeah.
Then as he looks back, you see this thing chasing him, and that, I said, you see a bit too much of it. But if
it was more obscured and you didn't, that would
have been cool. Absolutely terrifying.
It is pretty terrifying until that last bit. It's like that's a fucking goat. Anyway, and alien abduction slumber party. The only bit that I think everyone felt really bad right at the end of that because. The camera's mounted on the dog, and kind of the dog doesn't get abducted. Let's just say it just drops from the sky and lands and dies, and it's pretty horrific. We see people's faces getting blown off, kids like drinking the Kool-Aid, kind of like committing suicide, all kinds of crazy shit in this film. But that dog,
the most heart-wrenching,
harrowing thing you see in that whole 90 minutes is the craziest.
Because obviously the camera comes off the dog and you just get a full view of the dog's face.
Yeah.
And it breathing, and
it's horrible. It's horrible.
I think I remember. We watched it last night, obviously, and as it happened. I was just heartbroken.
Yeah.
I think there's a kind of so going, oh no.
I think you could all tell. I think we were all slightly bummed out by it.
Yeah. But overall, as a movie, I'd recommend it to horror fans. I'd recommend it to fans of the first movie. If you found anything redeeming about the first movie, you're gonna love this one. Even if you're not into the found footage thing, if you do think it's getting a bit stale, and I personally do, it's still a very enjoyable movie. And the fact there's an anthology and there's kind of basically loads of short films streamed together, it kind of works because found footage I guess works better in small doses. Anyway, fully recommend it. Unfortunately it's not available worldwide, but it'd be great when it does. I can't wait to actually own the movie and watch it again. It was fantastic, so fully recommended. So let's move on to TV shows. Okay, so in TV shows, it's been out for a couple of weeks now, but we feel like it's been enough time to talk about Arrested Development Season 4, something else that we were very excited for on the show, and
too.
So actually, I'm a big fan of the show. I think it's, personally for me, it's one of the fucking most awesome, funniest TV shows ever made. I think that's pretty safe to say. I'm pretty sure you
brother.
Just the way it's written, the characters, just everything about it so endearing and inviting, and it's so cleverly written. It's a masterclass in setup and payoff.
Yeah.
So there was no big changes to it then.
There were huge changes to it. We'll get to that. So when Netflix basically acquired the rights to make more, I could not stop fucking smiling. It was the best news ever. So 7 years after it had finished airing, we have Arrested Development Season 4. And a lot's changed. I think, personally, I'm not a big fan of the way they're telling the story this time around. They're giving characters their individual episodes, and it kind of feels like you're backtracking a lot.
Yeah. I think over what they're doing is, I think they will also, without giving too many spoilers, right at the end of Season 4, they leave it open for either a film or a follow-up season or whatever. I think what they said they were going to do with this season is kind of just catch up with everybody. So they spent time with each individual character.
But you see so much of the same, it's clever how everything ties in together. But you see too much of that. If it was told kind of...
You see the same events in 4 or 5 episodes.
And it just feels like, okay, right, I could have just seen this in a 2-minute block. How they used to tell a story. It felt weird because the Blue family never really spent much time in a room together.
No, I think it was hard to get all
it must have been. I noticed a lot of really dodgy, not dodgy, but really obvious green screen stuff where people weren't available at the same time.
Yeah, there's a lot with Liza Minnelli.
Yeah.
A lot with Liza
Minnelli. A lot of that going on. So obviously scheduling things was tricky. I appreciate they've made the effort. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the show still. I love that we have a Season 4. I love that we live in a time where people have a voice and can get this kind of thing made. You know, it's still fun to watch. It was still fun to see these characters so many years later and how their lives have changed or haven't in some ways, and kind of the things they've got up to. But it also the way that, like I said, the way they told the story, having each individual character have episodes, it does go to show that how weak some of the characters are, how unfunny some of the characters can be, how Lindsay Bluth shouldn't really have her own episode.
No. And
as bad as that sounds, like, her episodes were nowhere near as funny or as good as the Tobias episodes, or you know, even the George Michael episodes were still funnier and stuff. I think it's amazing how they managed to get like pretty much the entire cast back, even the smallest characters. Blah blah blah. You know, and you know, Henry Winkler is still back. He's there. You know, it's the little characters that you think, oh, they'll never come back. They obviously such a love for the show between everybody that it kind of, it was like, yeah, sure, hell, why wouldn't they do that, you know? So I think I was a little disappointed. It was not what I was expecting. I was expecting Arrested Development as I know and love it, and it kind of felt like, okay, they've had time to write this. They've obviously got more money than they've ever had to film a season, and you know, it just felt like, yeah, it's good that they tried something different with it, but at the same time, it's the problem with this season. So it never really got anywhere either. It just kind of, it was literally just catching up, and it just felt like you sat there for like, what, 13 episodes or whatever, and nothing really happened.
It felt like it could probably have been 6 or 7 longer episodes. There's a lot of stuff.
The episodes overall are a lot longer than half an hour instead of 20 odd minutes. So,
but I think it suffers really bad from pacing. It's like I say, we see the same stuff over again, where they could show the same sequence, what's happening, and cut to the different characters, and have a whole episode about that particular sequence, rather than
the show itself. The show itself has never been particularly linear. It always jumps back to this time and that time, but you see everybody's development as far as what's going on with this particular story arc at the same time. It'll cut between them, and instead you get this one person's side of it, and then the next episode it'll be
somebody else from there to
it just kind of feels like it was like one smaller story split up and drag out over a 13 episode course, like you say. So that was disappointing for me a little bit, but it still definitely had some key moments. The Tobias stuff, Tobias Finke, I'm sorry, but like, he needs his own show, I guess, like, because those episodes were easily the best. The Job episodes, some of those were really funny. You know, just some of the stuff between him and Tony Wanda was just unfucking believably funny. There's definitely high points. There's definitely moments
with Egg and the Mice.
My
particular favourite is ouch.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of, I don't know, mate. It did a pretty good job of tying things back though, because obviously there was certain scenes that were part of season 3 that it felt it had to explain, and then you get a shot straight after that obviously is from now, like from 7 years later, but it kind of matches up okay, even though they look a little different, a little bit older. You kind of get,
one or two of them look a lot different.
That's I think we put a thing on Facebook saying what the fuck happened there, you know, but overall, I am slightly disappointed in season 4, but I feel like it's still worth existing, you know. It's still fun to watch. I don't know.
There are key points.
It's definitely my least favourite season.
Yeah, you have to sit through a lot of stuff to get to the really good bits, but the really good bits are good. On
par with other funny moments from the previous seasons, but the thing when you sit down and watch a normal, like anything from the first 3 seasons, it's constantly funny, and you don't have to wait for that. It's kind of like joke, set up, payoff, sort of thing. And you don't kind of have that with this. You kind of, there's so much more going on, and it just repeats itself so much, and it does do a few things well. It does kind of, you know, it doesn't, because obviously by the way that it's telling the story, it makes it more predictable. By the time you've got so many episodes in, you kind of know, oh well, obviously, you know, this person's, you kind of guess kind of what's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean,
we've got the time to think about it.
A lot of the Lindsay episodes, I noticed other characters that you perhaps weren't supposed to notice, and then when their episodes came around, you
knew that was exactly.
It was there. But
still funny, still worth watching if you haven't seen it, which is unlikely because most of the fans would have seen it already. But I think you should really easily definitely watch the first season. If you don't like it, then
I mean, when season 4 came out and you put it on, it was. I did actually it's one of those moments where I don't feel I'm bothered by it, and I'm not leaving the room, and then I'll kind of stand there and just stare at the TV and watch it.
Yeah.
And so there'll
be something there. There's always something there to make you giggle.
Yeah. So I think I will put.
But less, not so much with this season.
No.
I think that was its main problem.
Yeah.
It wasn't consistently funny.
No.
It had each episode had its moments, but they were few and far between. I do think it was kind of funny with the whole Fantastic Four the musical thing. It's just hilarious.
Okay, it's gone straight.
Yeah, I mean you'll hopefully see it at some point. It
needs help getting his rocks off.
Oh,
just genius lines like that. It's just set up and pay off exactly.
But there's also there were a couple of scenes that were worthy of the previous 3.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
The one where Tobias walks in with Lucille one and she says, anus tart, and then you get the Ron Howard voiceover, and she hadn't even seen the license plate.
Yeah.
That was
can we just mention Ron Howard? How fucking awesome he is in it? Because obviously he's obviously voiced over the executive producer and everything. He's voiced over the whole thing so far, and like even to the fucking joke about the really terrible voiceover in that other show, and he makes a big deal about it. Is hilarious. But he only appears right at the end of season 3, saying, "Oh, this could be a movie." Sort of hint. I think they were hoping to do a movie because they knew it was going to get cancelled, and then he's actually in season 4 and brilliant, absolutely fucking genius.
A lot of the cast of Happy Days are in there, and the best bit is like Henry Winkler's character talking about Ron Howard and all that. It is hilarious.
Yeah.
And then him and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Who was Chachi.
Yeah. Amazing, absolutely amazing. It's just fucking mind blowing. Anyway.
There are good things. Another Tobias moment is worthy of mentioning where spoilers here. Obviously, we mentioned the Fantastic Four musical.
Yeah.
He has to step in for Susan Storm, and he doesn't have a skin blue costume, but he does carry a costume with him all the way around, and he puts blue paint on him, and then he just starts blowing up his face. And it's kind of like talking about the muscle reflex.
Yeah.
And then he turns around and the guy's there looking at him and he's like, I'm sorry, I just blew myself for the first time.
Amazing.
Yeah. See, watching this, if you haven't seen it, we're just going to be jabbering on about it.
We should talk about something.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about Game of Thrones. By the time this episode goes out, the season would have ended. Episode 10 of season 3 would have aired. But the time we're recording this, it hasn't. We've just watched episode 9, which some very, very important key things and fucking devastating things have happened in the last episode. So we will be talking overall about Game of Thrones season 3 on the next episode, episode 8. But
it's the running thing. They've done it all 3 seasons now. The big climax has been in episode 9, and then the aftermath is in episode 10. And we had a climax in episode 9.
The whole Red Wedding thing.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, you've read the books.
Yeah,
I read the
read
book. I knew what was happening, and a lot of
I'm-
people had the same idea of me, and they were watching their families and partners, whatever, watching this, and had the cameras out ready, recording them, filming reactions. I think everybody reacted pretty much
If I'd known, I probably would have set up a camera to catch everybody else's response.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome, but it's possibly the most harrowing, dramatic, intense.
I mean, why?
The whole, possibly the most
Unexpected.
thing to ever happen in television, and
I mean, there's
since season 1.
Among the readers and everything, there's this sort of popular meme of George R.R. Martin killing off all your favourite characters, and you kind of get that, and it's a running joke and everything. And I think now
It's
People who
fully realised
who watch
now,
the show
yeah.
now understand why no one is safe.
It was just very brutal, I think, and
It was a lot worse in the book.
from my perspective, I felt it was a mix of emotions. I kind of felt like, oh fuck this, I'm not watching this shit no more.
A lot of people had that reaction.
You know, like I felt like the whole point of I really hope everyone's fucking seen this by now because we're spoiling a load of shit. But I felt like the whole point of the show from day one was the plight of the Starks, and kind of it's not.
It's
and
not.
I've spent the last fucking almost 3 seasons thinking, oh yeah, it's about the Starks,
Come
and
on,
it's more, it's all gonna, and no, not at all.
no.
Not even close.
And I think what did it for me is
I don't know who to root for now.
There's
What the
killing
fuck?
them off. There's killing them off, but then there's, Rod's wife. Fair enough, kill her off, but kill the unborn baby. It's just like.
See, that wasn't actually in the book. That was something they added for the show, and
Yeah,
that
but
was
still, that was brutal.
Yeah, it was
it was
pretty bad.
harsh.
Pretty bad.
It was all very harsh. Very cool.
And it was that moment that started it off as well. That was the started off on the most shocking part of it.
And then a bunch of arrows. There you go. That would do it.
Unfucking believable.
But
anyway, we need to wrap this up.
His
His
dad died by being shot by loads of arrows in another film.
True. So
It's a nice little callback.
we will talk more about Game of Thrones in the next episode and give the whole season wrap up and kind of give our thoughts on the whole thing. And but thank you for watching. Like I said before, if you have not seen our E3 coverage that went out yesterday in episode 6, please go download that. But we will see you in 2 weeks' time,
where we will be bringing reviews not only of Game of Thrones, but also me and Michelle go off to see Man of Steel.
Oh,
so
cool.
I'll have a review of that.
Awesome.
And as you are watching this, I have just received The Last of Us. While we're recording it, I haven't. But when you're watching this, I will have it. So we'll have a review of that as
Awesome. So plenty of reviews to come next time. Okay, thank you very much for subscribing, streaming, watching us, however you manage to obtain the episodes. Please check us out on Facebook and tweet us and all that kind of good stuff. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Oh god, please tell me that doesn't get picked up on... Okay.